There's a sense that this is very much an attack on Lebanon, not just on Hezbollah or on Hezbollah areas, because especially when you take into consideration the operations that caused the pagers and the walkie-talkies to explode in the last week that have killed so far 37 people, and this is aside from the strike that was caused by the missiles yesterday on the residential building. That happened all across Lebanon. That wasn't a targeted strike. So it's instilled very much a sense of fear and terror into the average Lebanese person.
Well, joining me now is Nada Homsi, Beirut correspondent at The National. Nada, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What is the mood currently on the ground?
The mood is pretty stark on the ground of the strike. People are still looking for their loved ones. It's the second day since the strike happened. We're on day 2 now. And we just had Lebanon's transportation minister say that officially there are still 23 people missing, likely still under the rubble. And we don't know in what state. Probably not good. But so you still have families and friends and neighbors that are sitting on the sidelines of this cordoned off area from where the strike happened, and they're praying, they're asking rescue workers about their loved ones, what happened to them. A lot of people are crying, and a lot of them have taken to social media to post photos of their children and their loved ones, asking for any information, because those that have been rescued, it's such chaos that they might be in hospitals. So families are even checking from hospital to hospital to make sure that their kids haven't already been saved without their knowledge, and that they aren't potentially injured and hospitalized.
Nada, what do we know about the strike itself? From what we understand from the Israeli military, this was targeting a Hezbollah meeting of top commanders that was taking place in a building in a bunker deep underground.
This is what Israel says, and it seems that Hezbollah has corroborated this by acknowledging the death of top commander Ibrahim A'il and a number of other commanders as well who were in Hezbollah's elite operations force, the Radwan forces. I can't speak as to whether they were in an underground bunker or not, because we can't get close enough to the site of the strike, but it does seem from Hezbollah's acknowledgement that this is the case.
What is the national mood towards Hezbollah as well? Because we do hear that, for example, some of the areas that are considered safe, that are not Hezbollah strongholds, life perhaps goes on as normal. What are the Lebanese people feeling right now towards Hezbollah?
This really depends on who you speak to. First of all, Lebanon is a very stratified society politically, but you have to keep in mind that Hezbollah is very much part of Lebanon's governance, its parliament, its social structure. It's a part of Lebanon in every way. So there are people that are very, very dogmatically anti-Hezbollah, people that are dogmatically pro-Hezbollah, but the majority of people, I would say, are in the middle. The feeling this last week, overall, again, it depends on who you speak to, but there's a sense that this is very much an attack on Lebanon, not just on Hezbollah or on Hezbollah areas, because especially when you take into consideration the operations that caused the pagers and the walkie-talkies to explode in the last week that have killed so far 37 people, and this is aside from the strike that was caused by the missiles yesterday on the residential building. That happened all across Lebanon. That wasn't a targeted strike. So it's instilled very much a sense of fear and terror into the average Lebanese person. So it really depends on who you speak to, what their perception of Hezbollah is. But the perception nationwide is also that this has essentially been a terrifying week for them, and the perpetrator has been Israel.
How much have Hezbollah suffered with the pager attacks, the walkie-talkie attacks? Yesterday, we've had senior commanders that were both killed in this strike. Do we know what state the Hezbollah organization is in? Because the rocket attacks on Israel from Lebanon do continue. We had more rockets yesterday, Friday, heading into Israel. So has Hezbollah suffered a bigger blow than usual? Have their operations been at all dented from the last few days and what we've seen going on in Lebanon?
That's really hard to say because Hezbollah is a very secretive organization. It's also a very large organization that, again, is very much embedded into Lebanese society and social structure. Um, if you were going to ask analysts, they would say that if you cancel out or assassinate, some commanders, some more will take their place. But there is no hiding the fact that Hezbollah has taken some very big hits over the last week. So whether they're going to be able to recover fully or not, we don't know. But we can say that they have remained absolutely defiant, and they have maintained that they will keep sending rockets into Israel, and they will maintain these cross-border attacks for as long as it takes until a ceasefire is declared in Gaza. This has been happening since October, and they have been essentially saying that they're waging a pressure front from Lebanon in order to pressure Israel into a ceasefire in Gaza and into ceasing its assault and invasion of Gaza as well.
We were also hearing that there were previous negotiations for Hezbollah to retreat further in to Lebanon from the northern Israeli border. I'm assuming that all those negotiations now are a complete standstill.
This is hard to say because every time that there is a series of attacks that makes us think that these negotiations are going to come to a standstill, you have a politician from either side of the border or even in the US say that no, we're still going to try to continue these negotiations. But I think it's become very clear after a year that these negotiations by now are essentially a facade because this war is very much continuing. And what is happening between Hezbollah and Israel right now is very much a war. You can say that it's a lower intensity war than a full out regional escalation or a regional war, but it is nonetheless still a war with high casualty rates.
And finally, Nada, there seems to be confusion as to which parts of Beirut, which parts of Lebanon are safe. How much instruction has been given out by the authorities to people to leave their homes, or which neighborhoods are considered safe enough for people to remain? Is there confusion on the ground of what people are meant to do?
You would think so, given when you take into consideration that Lebanon's political structure is very feudal right now. The government is in a caretaker capacity. The parliament isn't meeting in full capacity, and there's no president. So it's questionable how much instruction the Lebanese government is able to provide. They're able to prepare as much as possible, but when it comes to evacuations and stuff, because it's very feudal, each political party essentially controls specific areas of Lebanon. So you have municipalities and political parties that are in charge of declaring whether there's going to be evacuations or not. Usually, it's up to people. People in their villages and in their areas know where is safe and where is not. So essentially, it's usually very local kind of organization that's happening on the ground.
Nada, thank you so much for giving us your time. Nada Homsi there, Beirut correspondent at The National.